Having a rough satellite day? Join us as we give helpful tips and tricks to make your day easier.
Hello, my name is Shayla Hinkeldey. I teach first grade here at King's Academy, and I am just going to talk today a little bit about how to engage your kids at home. I know we have a whole lot of new families here at King's, and there's a lot of things that go into being a part-time homeschool parent. And so I am basically mostly talking to kindergarten through fifth graders about ways to just make sure your kids are doing their best to learn, make sure that you're really getting them engaged, make sure that they're not having meltdowns at home. And so I just have a few points that I was going to talk about today. And the first one is basically just introducing me about why I am here at King's Academy. I love this model because I wanted to be a homeschool mom so bad and didn't want to put in all the effort. And that's why the King's model was so appealing to me. I kind of get the best of both worlds. And so if that's you, then there's a lot of points that I can bring up that we're going to relate to. So the first thing that you need to do, and I think this goes across the board and just successful people in general, but it's just kind of setting the stage for learning, making sure that your kids have a consistent schedule at home. And I know as a mom myself, sometimes I have a tendency to just kind of go with the flow and, oh, we're not doing that today. We're going to grandma's house, or we'll do that later. We let life get in the way. And for us, it's not a huge deal. But for kids, that kind of uncertainty of when am I going to get this done is really overwhelming at some points. I had a job years ago, and I loved my job. I was tutoring students, but I didn't know what my schedule was going to be week by week. And I just remember living in kind of anxiety about, am I going to have to work today? Or what if I make plans and I have to end up going to work? And it just kind of gave me this like a little bit, not terrible, but just kind of that anxiety. And so I think kids are the same way. We know the studies show kids thrive when they have a schedule. And so even if it's just 30 minutes, an hour that you dedicate every day, you know that this is going to be the time that we work. And if you don't get finished and you need to run to grandma's or run to the grocery store, that's fine. But kids just need that consistency. My advice, just because I have a little one who gets frustrated easily when we do schoolwork, start early. That way, if you hit a bump in the road and there's frustration, you can stop and go back to it. And you're not doing school at 3 p.m. We're frustrated, but we know we've got dinner and bedtime coming, and we're all stressed trying to get work done, trying to get learning done. The earlier, the better. Even though I'm not a morning person, we try to start as soon as we wake up. Number 2 I was going to talk about is just engaging in your children's education. Sounds pretty basic, but again, as a parent I'm a teacher. I love what I do. I live, eat, and breathe teaching, but at home, I'm mom. And so my role as teacher at home is a lot different than my role as teacher at school. And I have noticed that I have these big challenges when I'm just like, here, do this, and I don't engage in my kids' learning. And I have to make a big effort to do that. And I think as I do that with my child and really just, okay, the laundry can wait 30 minutes, the dishes can wait 30 minutes, let's sit and engage together. It has dramatically changed the homework I do with my kid. And my daughter's in pre-K, but we still do home days trying to get ready for being at King's Academy next year. 15 minutes a day, that's all. Just sitting down and learning about what your kid's learning about, and really just like, hey, let's talk, let's engage, let's be connected. Kids need connection. And I know my jobs, when somebody gives me something and says, hey, just do this, and you're like, I don't know what to do, it's overwhelming and frustrating. And what we're trying to do is just eliminate all of those little frustrating things, so that the big things, when they happen, we can work through them very easy. If your child is studying a topic, for example, the Pilgrims in Jamestown and the beginning of America, find something that you're interested in to be on the same page with them. Find a book, if you like to read, a novel that is in that time period, or a show that you can watch that kind of gives you something to discuss and talk about with your child. I think your children will really respond really well if you're investing in that with them. Another thing that we can do when we're investing in our child's learning is when they're struggling with something, like say math, and they feel defeated about it, or they feel like they can't do it, or they don't want to do it, and they don't understand. And I know this is basic, but find some real world applications to like pull them in, have them help you with a grocery budget that week, have them help you do things at home, taxes, things that are math applications that can really help them to connect and like, okay, at some point in my life, this is going to have to be done, and just really connecting life with what they're learning. And it may not be the same thing if they're learning decimals. Money is a great way to do that. Fractions. I mean, it may not be, we don't do algebra in everyday life, but just understanding that math is important and we have to do it, and giving them some real world applications for that. For example, history, take them to a museum, find a movie, something like that applies to what they're learning. Give them some, I know I've watched movies in the past about World War II, and it really interests me because you kind of see perspective of what is this person thinking, what is that person thinking, and if they're having to do a paper on it, give them some little bit more real world application things where it's not just they're reading it in a book and having a textbook worksheet over it. Let's see. Ask your children, why is this important for the long haul? Why is it important that we have a good attitude about learning and a good attitude about history, math, science, social studies, all of these things? And another thing too with engaging with your child is learn your child's love language. I know in my classroom in first grade, I have certain kids that really respond well to hugs, and I can encourage them and turn their whole day around with just a hug. And I have kids who really respond well to prizes or stickers. So learn what your kids' love language is and kind of engage them that way. And you'll see a huge improvement in your home days and your kids. Let's see. Another thing we can do when engaging with our kids' learning is what we call in the teaching world differentiated instruction, which basically is a big word for teaching them in a different way or giving them another avenue to be able to learn that thing. If your child is really struggling in one subject, maybe as a home day, and if for the older grades, this is something you might have to talk to teachers about, but my kids in here who are really struggling with spelling, at first I give them multiple choice, and let them be able to choose out of 3 words which word they think is correct. That way they don't feel defeated when they make a 0 on their spelling test. And it's differentiating things for different kids' needs. Give them a true false when they're struggling with a ton of science things that they have to learn or memorize. Hey, true or false, the body does this, or this is the way this works, the moon is this far away from the earth, things like that, and kind of make them think but not have to just come up with these numbers and off the top of their heads. Another way that you can really engage with your kids at home is finding out what type of learner they are. And there are a variety of ways that kids learn, but I can pretty much, in my years of teaching, sum it up to 3. Most kids really learn either with auditory learning, so they hear it, visual learning, they see it, or kinesthetic learning, connecting the body to learning. And for little ones, this is really easy to do. We can make letters with our bodies and draw them in the air when we're learning letters or blends. A lot of times we'll, T and H makes th, and we clap and connect those two. But with older students, it's so simple. Kinesthetic learning is so simple when you're just moving your body, doing jumping jacks, doing your times tables, just really simple things. Throwing a ball when you're trying to remember science vocabulary words. Really just anything you can do that's a physical thing to get their brain to connect. Oh yeah, it's 2 ways of connecting the brain and the mind. And a lot of times writing words in sand where they get that texture on their fingers, or in shaving cream. I'm sure there are quite a few 5th graders who would be totally thrilled to write vocabulary words or things like that in shaving cream. I even like doing it with my kids when we do it in class. Visual learners, finding a video, doing a PowerPoint, or making them do a PowerPoint. Anything they can see that's extra above and beyond, writing it down extra, or adding colors to vocabulary words, the ones that are grouped in Unit 1 are blue, or just adding some sort of color or pretty handwriting, something they can visually see that will help them to connect. Drawing pictures is a great way to do that for visual learners. And auditory learners, which I'm very auditory, rhymes, poems, songs, and there's so many resources out there that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. If your kid's struggling with math facts, go to YouTube, search for 7 times table songs, and I can guarantee you there's somebody already that has come up with a song that you can share with your 4th, 5th grader, 3rd grader that they can hear and really remember those. Or if your child is higher level, make them come up with one. If they maybe play the piano and make them come up with a tune. All those things to really engage your kids. I know with higher level children, a lot of times they fly through work and then they're done and like, oh, I already know my math facts, or I'm working on 12 times. And give them, a challenge. Put them in front of the piano or the guitar if they like music, or if they're video inclined, make them do a video or a PowerPoint and make them go above and beyond. All right, cool. You did that. Now I want you to come up with a game to help little kids remember their math facts. You're a 5th grader, you know them, come up with a game that 1st graders can play that helps them remember addition, math facts, whatever you can think of, just adding that above and beyond element. And another thing we need to talk about is just teaching study habits. I had talked to some of the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade teachers about this video, and they were just talking about how kids, we just don't know how to teach them study habits. I know as a parent, I wouldn't know how to teach my daughter study habits. I was never taught study habits. I kind of wiggled my way through high school. I made good grades, but to actually study and to be motivated to study, I don't know how to do that. Thankfully, again, there are lots of resources out there. There are probably 500 books on Amazon on how to have good study habits. Look at the reviews, buy one, read it, and just share it with your kid. I know for me, when I'm trying to study visual, auditory, sitting down, buy your kid a bunch of cool colored Post-it notes or cool colored highlighters and really neat pencils if that motivates them. And give them a quiet space and a timer and say, okay, you've got 20 minutes. See how much you can, do in 20 minutes, or see how, you'd be surprised at what your kid can do with giving the right tools and materials. And the last thing I just kind of want to touch base about is ask for help. I know as a mom, when I'm teaching my child, there are some days when, I may be a great teacher in class, but I can't connect to my kid like somebody else can. And especially when they get a little bit older, if you're not sure what to do, if you are very just kind of by the book and you worksheet oriented and your kid's done the worksheets and you're like, I have no idea how to help my child to be motivated because my kid's a visual learner. Somebody in your group is a mom that's a visual learner that's coming up with all these wonderful things for their kid to do at home. Ask that mom to share those with you. Collaboration in this model is everything. And as teachers especially, I'm teaching this year with my aide, Ms. Zimmerman, and she has so many wonderful, really neat ideas I may have never thought about to bring into the classroom. And together we're better. It's just the way it is. I don't look at her as a challenge or as a, she's, we need to collaborate and work together. Don't reinvent the wheel. Just don't kill yourself trying to come up with these things when there's somebody somewhere that's willing to help, that says, oh yeah, I've already got this done and we already did this and here, do that. Or did you not know that there was the Science Museum in Tyler, or that there was this museum you can go to in Fort Worth? Things that maybe you don't think about. My husband's a very, math oriented, like by the book, cross your I's and dot your T's kind of guy. And I'm more the fun, so he works and does flashcards with my daughter and I get to do the fun Play-Doh things, so just finding somebody to help you, to come in, to be a team with, and don't feel like a burden. Don't feel like you can't ask for help. Ask your child's teacher for help. Heck, come ask me for help. I'll help you. I have lots of resources and things to get, things that we do in 1st grade work for 1st grade, but they will also work for 2nd grade and for 3rd grade and for 4th grade. And so just ask for help, ask for support. Don't feel like you're doing this alone. And look for resources. I have a list of websites that I can share. For little ones, Reading Eggs is a great website. It's a game format. The kids love it. It's really, really good at teaching reading. ABC Mouse, I'm sure you see the commercials for that. Khan Academy for the older kids for math, and they have so many good videos. Teachers Pay Teachers, as a homeschool mom, that's also a really good resource. Like I said, why reinvent the wheel? Teachers have come up with all these really cool phonics games or science games, and they've put them out there as a resource for you to buy or to get for free. And you can go on there, get a account, and download them. And it's super helpful. I have a ton that we use in class all the time. And that's about it. Another thing that you can do, just my last little point, let your kid listen to music while they're learning and they're working. There's something about classical music or music in general that helps your kid stay calm and helps the brain connect those pathways, left and right pathways. So yeah, that's about it. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me, but those are just a few of my tips and tricks on how connecting with your kid. I know some parents may watch this and be like, oh gosh, this is overwhelming. I can't do this. I don't learn that way. I don't teach that way. I'm just the mom, ask for help. It's not hard to say like, hey, you're struggling, go outside, let's throw the ball around and let's say do your flashcards or work on your whatever you're supposed to be working on, spelling words. It's simple. We make it harder than it has to be. It really is just very simple. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I appreciate you listening today, and thank you so much.
These tips can help make your satellite day more successful. Contact the office if you would like a specific problem highlighted in our tips and tricks video series. Thanks for watching.